In the dead of night, a nation's dream was interrupted by gunfire. Not by strangers, but by its own protectors. January 15, 1966. A date that echoes in the soul of Nigeria like a phantom limb. This is not just the story of a coup. It is the story of a fracture, a violent unraveling that promised order but delivered chaos, setting a young nation on a path to its bloodiest reckoning. This is the story of the night the First Republic fell, and the war that was born in its shadow. Nigeria won its independence in 1960, a tapestry of over 250 ethnic groups, chiefly the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east. But the inheritance was fragile. The federal system was rife with regionalism, corruption, and bitter election disputes. The 1964 federal elections were widely seen as rigged. The West was in political chaos. The national project, a covenant of unity, felt like a covenant broken. A sense of disillusionment, particularly among the educated elite and a young, idealistic officer corps, festered. The plot was led by a group of 5 young majors, predominantly Igbo, but ideologically mixed. They saw themselves not as tribalists, but as revolutionary nationalists. Their manifesto decried the political profiteers, swindlers, and men of low moral standards. Their target was not a people, but a corrupt system.
Our enemies are the political profiteers, the swindlers, those that seek to keep the country divided permanently so that they can remain in office.
In coordinated pre-dawn raids, the plotters struck. Prime Minister Balewa was killed. The Sardana of Sokoto was killed. Premier Akintola was killed. Dozens of senior military officers, predominantly from the north and west, were assassinated. But the coup was only partially successful. It failed in Lagos and the east. President Azikiwe was abroad. The most senior surviving officer, an Igbo, General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi, was tasked by the panicked cabinet to restore order. Ironsi assumed power, suspending the constitution. To fix the regionalism that bred corruption, he issued decrees abolishing the regions and creating a unitary state. This was the spark in the tinderbox. In the north, it was perceived not as reform, but as the culmination of an Igbo plot. The January killings were now framed as an ethnic coup. Anti-Igbo pogroms erupted in the north. Thousands of Igbos, civilians, were murdered. A deep, existential fear gripped the eastern region. 5 months later, the pendulum swung back with brutal force. Northern junior officers launched a counter-coup. General Ironsi was killed. The slaughter of Igbo soldiers and civilians intensified. Gowon, a moderate, tried to hold the center, but trust was annihilated. The East, led by its military governor, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, saw no security within Nigeria. A last-ditch peace meeting in Aburi, Ghana, failed. Agreements made were interpreted differently in Lagos and Enugu. Ojukwu, citing the failure to protect his people and implement a true federation, moved toward secession. We have no alternative but to assert our right to self-determination. We are now a sovereign state. On May 30th, 1967, Ojukwu declared the Independent Republic of Biafra. A brutal 30-month civil war followed. To keep Nigeria one, Gowon said, is a task that must be done. A blockade led to a humanitarian catastrophe. Over 1 million civilians died, many from starvation. In January 1970, Biafra collapsed. The war ended with the famous declaration of "No victor, no vanquished." The ghost of January 15th never left. The coup established the military as the ultimate arbiter of power for decades, leading to a cycle of coups until 1999. It embedded a deep-seated ethnic suspicion in the fabric of national politics. The question of who rules became fraught with the memory of who killed whom. While a necessary slogan for reconciliation, it papered over unresolved issues of justice, federalism, and integration, leaving grievances to fester. It created the fundamental Nigerian paradox, a fiercely held unity, constantly negotiated against the backdrop of a near-death experience. January 15, 1966, was a catalyst, not a cause. It was the violent symptom of a young nation's unresolved contradictions. Its lesson is brutal. When political corruption and perceived injustice poison the body politic, the vehicle of correction can become an instrument of national trauma. The coup sought to purge a sickness, but infected the nation with a virus of mutual suspicion that led to war. The legacy is a nation forever shaped by its brush with dissolution. It asks every generation since, how do you build a true covenant in the shadow of a broken one? How does a people remember enough to learn, but not so much that they cannot heal? Nigeria's story, in all its tumultuous, vibrant resilience, is the ongoing attempt to answer those questions. The war ended in 1970, but the search for a perfect union, just and true, continues. This is Hidden Histories. Like, share, and subscribe for more biblical mysteries, ancient truths, and forbidden knowledge, revealed daily.